So we can't just immediately jump over to the 360 without at least having a couple of minutes dedicated to the OG console. So not the one Xbox or the Xbox One, but the original Xbox, which came out
The
in
first
November
Xbox.
2001. The first, number one, man.
In a series of Xboxes, this is the original.
This isn't the X.
If you
is the
could use an
Xbox.
Xbox as a brick, it would be the first one because that thing, forget about the size. Did either of you ever pick up that console and just think like you could just hit somebody in the head with this and almost kill them, right?
Oh, I know. That thing had weight. Like, GameCube gets remembered a lot for its durability and how sturdy it is, but that original Xbox, that OG Xbox, like, that thing was built to last. Like, that thing is about
was
as
built
durable as it
different.
gets. It was.
One might say it's an absolute unit. I was able to, yeah, I had to stack it on top of my TV in my bedroom because there was
Poor
just like
TV.
no room on any entertainment center or whatever. It just had to go like, and since it was a good old boxy CRT TV at the time, I was able to stack it on top of that. You can't really do that with today's TVs.
Oh, no.
Did you come home one day and the Xbox had just caved through the television from its weight?
It wouldn't surprise me at all if that ever happened, but fortunately, I didn't come home to like a heap of flames if,
Yeah,
with that
that's good.
having happened.
But that first console is very iconic because the 360, some people remember it as like, oh, it's the one with the hard drive. It's like, hey, but the previous one also had a hard drive because it had anywhere from 8 to 10 gigabytes, which now that would seem like nothing, but that was freaking huge. Like, I remember thinking like, 5 gigabytes? Who's going to need 5 gigabytes in a freaking hard drive?
Yeah, weren't PS2 memory cards like 8 megabytes?
Yeah.
Or 16 megabytes?
Exactly. It's like these were tiny. 40 megabytes at a point was seen as significant, right? So here comes something from 8 to 10 gigabytes. I remember being blown away by the fact that in a time where it was normal to need a memory card with the PS2 and the GameCube and all that, here's like memory cards. You could technically get one, right, if you wanted to share the data, but it's like, you don't need none of that. You got a hard drive. And I thought it was like the future is now. What about you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the console that I think had the most vision for the future. And that 8 to 10 gigabytes, it sounds like nothing nowadays, but this is before you could download full games onto the console. So it was plenty of space for not only your save data, but another benefit was that you could put things like music and other files on there. Yeah, and that too, but if we're talking strictly the intent of the hard drive at the time, having the music which could be incorporated into some of the games, like good old Raw 2, where you could put your own like wrestling entrance
Right,
music.
that was
you
a big deal.
You could
Forgot
put
about
any music you want. You could just upload it to your console and then use it for your entrance music, which was really, really cool at the time, and no other wrestling game could do that. I don't really know if any other games on the original Xbox
I believe
had that
a
kind of
few did.
integration, but
Didn't like Vice City, you could have your own radio station or
I
something
think so.
like
Much
that?
like, yeah, because I know the PC version you could do that. So I'm sure on the Xbox version they had like one radio station was just called like custom soundtrack, and then it was all your music on there.
Yeah, it really laid the groundwork for that thing that Microsoft has always been trying to chase of being the home entertainment console. Like even back going to the OG Xbox, it always wanted to be the entertainment box. It's not just your video game console. It's the thing you watch movies on. It's the thing you play music off of. It hooks up to your Microsoft Windows PC. So having that hard drive there, I think, was fundamental in doing that, because this was before the days of HD, so you could actually fit a couple of movies on a 4 gigabyte hard drive and a lot of music. And even when like some games were still CDs at that point, so you really could fit a couple of those, and that eventually led to a lot of emulation stuff, which is great looking back at the OG Xbox 4, but it was fundamental for what Microsoft was trying to do, and it was really something that like laid the groundwork for the 360 as that home entertainment console in a lot of ways.
It really was, and the console was $300, which is a very common price point, right? Sometimes people talk about expensive consoles now or something, and we've seen that this is 2001, right? Yet the price point for consoles, it went up a little bit in the following generation, but it dipped back down a bit, right? It's like when you think about consoles now costing an average of $400, with inflation, the original Xbox was technically more expensive than the consoles coming out now. Hey, we really hope you enjoyed this podcast clip, and if you did, guess what? You can listen to the full episode right now by searching for Quest Rewind on your favorite podcast app, including Spotify. And while you're at it, follow us over there so you never miss a new episode.